Hi and welcome to the Trading Bell Show. We have arrived right here at the chairman's office, Kiprono Kitoni, the chairman for the NSC. They've had a lot of significant changes and significant developments, especially in the markets, equities, bonds. Speaking about the leadership as well, we have a new captain in town. And I want to understand from the chairman's perspective what to really expect and even the outlook for 2024. Come with me. Mr. Kitoni was appointed chairman of the NSC board on July 13, 2020, and as a board member of the NSC on May 30th, 2018. He is the immediate former national chairman of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the premier business membership organization in Kenya. He's an established entrepreneur and a business leader, having served in several capacities, including being the immediate past chairman of the Media Owners Association and AAR Insurance Limited. During his 7-year tenure at the KNCCI, he was widely credited with revitalizing the organization through a series of transformative initiatives that placed the chamber at the forefront in terms of shaping national trade and general economic policy. He serves as the chair of the Credit Info CRB Kenya Limited, MTech Limited and Radio Africa Group, which he co-founded in 2000. He sits on the Advisory Council of the International Fund for Health in Africa, an Amsterdam-based private equity fund, and is one of the 2 representatives from Africa in the Global Council of the World Chambers Federation. Mr. Kitoni holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree and a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi and a Global Executive MBA from the United States International University. Kiprono Kitoni, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mina.
Excellent.
Yes.
Glad to have you. And, you sit at a very pivotal seat, if I may call it that, being the chairman of the NSC, and a lot of economists look at how the stock markets really do to evaluate the economy. And I wanted you to paint a picture for us on how are we doing right here in Kenya, based on your perspective.
Thank you very much. I think firstly that this show is timely, it is pertinent, it is relevant to the times that we are in. Mm-hmm. And like you rightly said, many people use the performance of the stock exchange as a barometer of economic performance in the country, and that is the right thing to do. Absolutely. The NSC, like other markets, are a bellwether. Mm-hmm. They're an indicator of the macroeconomic fundamentals of the country. Mm-hmm. And a year ago, when I spoke on media about the performance of the market, I told people that markets ebb and markets flow. That is why you have a bull run and a bear run. Mm-hmm. And that is the reason why, any sophisticated investor like Warren Buffett and the likes globally always take a long-term position in investing, right, as opposed to a short in and out, strategy. We have people who look at the market holistically, knowing that there will be times that the market performs well and other times that doesn't perform well. Mm-hmm. And gladly, the first quarter of this year has seen a significant upswing in the market performance of Kenya. If you look at the macroeconomic fundamentals of our country, the shilling is doing very well. In fact, has been rated the best performing currency in sub-Saharan Africa, with about 26 percentage base points against the US dollar gain year to date, which is quite a feat. Right. And I want to commend the managers of our macroeconomic fundamentals at the National Treasury for doing a good job in doing that. Yeah. Earlier this year, there was a lot of pessimism about the ability of Kenya to meet its Eurobond obligation. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we were able to as a country, to miss out on the list of countries that have defaulted says a lot about our ability to manage macroeconomic affairs. Mm. So we've seen some key factors this year. We've seen a stabilization of the shilling against the dollar. Mm-hmm. We've seen the Eurobond being partially settled by the bond that was floated a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We've seen a baseline inflation also decline quite significantly. Mm-hmm. The consumer price index across the country today speaks to an economy that is in recovery. Okay. So I'm quite glad and I'm optimistic that the future holds a lot for us.
Absolutely. Still in the same breath, I have seen the bond market, as you've mentioned, go up. The indices as well have really risen, especially in the last 3 months. I don't know how Q1 really, it came with a blessing, I think, to the market. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to understand from your perspective, what have you observed from the investor's perspective, really? How is your perception now towards the country and investing?
There is a very strong positive sentiment, and you know that markets are driven by sentiments.
Right.
Investors are always shy and quite risk averse when they see that the macroeconomic fundamentals are not in order. But if you look at the occurrences of the recent past, I mean, if you look at the Nairobi All Share Index, if you look at the NSC 25 Share Index, the NSC 10 Index, they've all had a rise of between 16 and 26%. All the key indices are showing a significant growth. We've also seen investor wealth increase from about 1.46 trillion to north of 1.78 trillion in the first quarter of this year. So we've seen, you know, a burgeoning of the share values in the market. Key, you know, counters like KCB, like Safaricom and Equity Bank have seen very, very significant growth, and that also reflects shareholder wealth growth. And you know, last 2 weeks ago, we had the Russell Index move Kenya from restricted to pass, which is a very, very significant development, because you see what that essentially means is that the fear of people not being able to repatriate either their dividends or the proceeds from their sale of shares no longer exists. And that is a big commendation to the Central Bank of Kenya, because dollars are now available. The value of the shilling against the dollar is also quite stable. And in my opinion, we have many of the ducks are in line, and I'm confident that we'll close the year on a stronger note. Talking about bonds, because you alluded to bonds, it is instructive to note that year to date we are at about 300 billion shillings plus in traded volumes, compared to 436 billion traded bonds the whole of last year. So we are predicting that by half of this year we should have crossed the 500 billion line, which means that by the middle of this year we should have done more trading in bonds than we did in the whole of last year. And I would like to suggest that we will actually achieve a bond turnover north of 1 trillion shillings this year.
Wow, that's quite optimistic, and thanks so much for that. What would be, in a simple sentence, your word to investors who are watching and really looking forward to hear from what the chairman will say in terms of investing right here?
One of the things that we are looking forward to in the next quarter is the resolution of the court case that blocked the privatization or the listing of state-owned enterprises to come to the market. I have said it many times, and I repeat again, that the funds that are chasing investable assets are far more than the assets that are available to invest in. So in Kenya, what we have is a supply-side constraint, because we don't have enough counters in our equities. Our bond market is growing very robustly, but I do think that we are now in the process of also formulating a commodities exchange. We need more products, more investable products. We need companies that are scalable, that are listable, to consider listing, so they can also raise capital for their expansion through the exchange. We would like the state to come forward with a state-owned enterprise listing program. And my advice is that if you haven't opened a CDS account and began trading on the stock exchange, the time is now. Because when the prices go too high, then of course you'll have missed the opportunity. And you see, we need to do a lot of capacity building on investor sophistication and trading capability, because we want people to take a long-term view, not to hold positions. You see, the generation of our parents and our grandparents, many of them looked at the purchase of shares like opening a bank account. But we would like to teach people how to buy low, sell high, trade their shares. So you move from counter to counter and find the arbitrage in that activity.
You're right.
Yes.
So, Chairman, when you took the helm, you're quite optimistic about really seeing companies come in and list. And you've had quite a number and a share of hurdles, especially these court cases that you've hoped resolutions will come by. But giving credit to the current government, I've seen you host the president severally, and looks like it's going to really be optimistic. I wanted you to paint a picture to us. What would happen if this resolution comes in? We have some of these public companies come in, and of course the effort that is coming from the end on the private companies. What would you see really looking down at 2024 and moving on?
I have 2 more years at the helm of the NSC.
Absolutely.
And it is my hope that these 2 years will be marked by a lot more listings, will be marked by a revolutionizing of the bond market, and to see a market that is probably 4 times the size that we have today.
Wow.
I would love to see a lot more regional collaboration. If we look at the exchanges in Dar es Salaam, in Kigali, and in Kampala, combined with our exchange here, one of the things that COVID proved to us is that we are a technological platform that allows for investors to realize value and for business owners to be able to raise capital. So there's no reason why we can't have a much bigger regional play. Last week we had a meeting with the Cabinet Secretary of the National Treasury, and we have agreed that we will go on a roadshow in these countries as well. Talk to investors to see where they can list their companies in Nairobi and cross-list them back in the markets where they come from. There's no point of dividing the cake too much. And I also see, a big resurgence in the capital markets. I'd like us to, also look at the work that is being done by the Capital Markets Roundtable that is led by the chairman of the Capital Markets Authority, and all the stakeholders are in there. We are burning the midnight oil to see whether we can provide solutions to national issues. For example, the affordable housing program. We think that we can provide interesting and innovative solutions of fundraising for government through the exchange. We also would like to see a thriving and active commodities exchange that is operating here. We would like to see owners of scalable listable companies come to market. We would like to see companies that are in the Ibuka program graduate into the main market segments. So I think all these things are possible. What we need is a stable macroeconomic situation. We need companies to be profitable. We need the confidence of the government. We need the regulators to be working with us in coming up with the innovative solutions that we think could definitely turn the tide, not just for Kenya, but for the region.